You know, sometimes people really fuck up. Welcome to the Mental Health Podcast. I'm Tim, and I invite you on my journey to talk about men's mental health. Before we begin, as always, a brief disclaimer. I'm in no shape or form a mental health professional. I'm just a bloke whose journey through his own mental health has helped him a lot and wants other people to feel the same. So join me and let's get the conversation going about men's mental health. What did I mean with sometimes people really fuck up? I obviously mean me, but I just mean everyone, because we all at some point fuck up. Nobody's perfect. Everyone does something stupid at some point in their lives. Why do we all feel so terrible about it though? Because there's something that I've noticed a lot from my own experience, but also from other people, is that when we do fuck up and when we do something that hurts other people, or that is, maybe not as well thought through as we first thought it was, or when we just, are being stupid, it feels that less and less people have the ability to say sorry. And I don't mean say, oh, sorry, but to actually apologize and to say sorry for what they did, and this is the crucial part, take accountability for what they did. Why? That is a big question, and I'm not here giving a comprehensible answer. It's just no way. I'm just me. I kind of just give you what I think is one of the reasons, or a few of the reasons why. So there's multiple facets to it. There's one where I think, because of the way that our lives are shaped, where people interact a lot via social media or just technologically enhanced, WhatsApp, telephone, computers, and we live further and further apart in our lives. The main part of our interaction is via those kind of media. It feels easier to just make, in German we have the saying, and I'm not sure if we have it in English as well, so if so, I don't know it. If you know, please let me know in the comments below. But what we call a Mundversprechen, a mouth promise, just means that you say something just, to have said it, but you don't really mean it, or you don't really mean to go through with it. And saying something on the phone, or sometimes even saying it to someone in person, or saying it on the computer or whatever, is quite easy, because you just type the words, or you say the words you think the other person wants to hear, and then you don't mean it, or you don't do anything with it, because you don't necessarily have to interact with a person again. So that, technology has just made that easier. It's always been the case that people do this, but I think technology has just made this a lot easier. And another thing that technology has made a lot more easy is that we don't need to interact with these people as much then. If we hurt someone, we can just disappear, or we can make them disappear quite easily out of our lives, because we don't ever need to see them again. There's people who've, I've been really hurt by, that I've just never seen again afterwards, because they were easy. And we just need to look at dating culture, and we see how people treat other people on dating apps. And I'm not saying that it is, sometimes life can be overwhelming and you forget to message someone, but when you've met someone multiple times and it doesn't click, and instead of saying, "Oh, I don't feel this," you just never message them again, I think that is bad. I'm more, it is a bit annoying when people don't message you again after, you've texted them back and forth a bit, but there's been no commitment. You've never met. And as long as it's not going on for months and months and months, and you have intimate conversations, but it's just the very first step, then fine, shit happens. But once you've like met, especially multiple times, and you just never talk to the person again, that is kind of weird. Or you don't want to tell them that something wasn't quite right. That is also kind of weird. It's easy because we don't have to. They're not like, we don't meet people in a surrounding where, we are then confronted with them again. We meet them online. And then maybe in real life too, but not to an extent where they cross our path ever again. So that's made it quite easy to do this. Another aspect also is that everything gets way out of proportion. People do something stupid, especially when they're like famous or they have a following. And I'm not talking about doing something horrendous. No, there's a line, obviously. But I'm talking about people being stupid, or people saying things that they obviously, or that they didn't mean, or they want to apologize for, but people just drag it. They make it a big thing, and people aren't allowed to apologize and to take accountability for it. So they just don't, because why would they? If they just, get lashed out again anyways. It makes it much easier than to just say, well, I won't, because then I don't have to. And last, and I think this is one of the most important things, is that we are no longer taught or have to face feeling difficult feelings. And this is especially true, and now we're finally here at the podcast, for men. Because what men are taught quite often, especially in the older generations, is to cope with difficult, with painful physical experience. Men, well, so are women, but I'm talking about men here. What men are taught is to be able to take it. So when someone hurts you, especially physically, as a man, you either hit him back and then that's done, or you just take it. Take it as a man, like a man. If you hurt yourself, just deal with it. Take a shot of whiskey and be done with it. And specifically when it comes to relationships, men are not taught to deal with other people's feelings and other people's hurt. And women also kind of start to, there's also obviously women out there, or people of other genders who aren't. But this is again men's mental health podcast, so I'm focusing on men. Not to say that we are the only ones that suffer from this, but there's quite a lot of us that do. Men find it difficult to deal with any emotions because we've, never been taught what to do. What do we do with these feelings? We can just about cope with happiness, but even then it's weird. The most happy we're allowed to be is when we, have a child for a bit. Our favorite football team wins. Maybe get married. But even then, soon after, the wife life, no more sex, blah, 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 and all that other bullshit. That's when we're allowed to show real joy, real enthusiasm. And if there's some men who show real enthusiasm about something that is considered away from that, then they're nerds or weirdos. Even though there's more and more women and other people who really love people being passionate about things, which is great. But we kind of still have this mainstream idea that men shouldn't. It makes no sense. But under the same vein, when it comes to feeling something difficult about themselves, men aren't taught how to deal with it. And if someone else feels something difficult, they're not, really taught to deal with it. I have another episode in which I talk about why why most men's first reaction to their partner telling them something is wrong or something sad about is to fix it. Because men believe, fixing is the solution to every problem. And when they feel bad, they go and fix something sometimes. At least the older generation still did that, or they focused on something where they could have some actionable results afterwards. Do the work, do exercise, whatever those things. But it's not staying in the emotion with the feelings. And that is particularly true when someone else feels bad emotions because of you. Men can't deal with that because we are not equipped. And I don't mean we are not born equipped. Nobody is born equipped. We learn it. We are social beings. We learn from each other, and we are being taught this way. But we teach women more, and we teach girls a lot about how to deal with other people's feelings and what happens when you make someone feel bad, and also when someone makes you feel bad, which is why we need to change the way we teach men how to deal with emotions, because then they don't lash out and hurt other people. So because men don't know how to deal with the feelings of someone else hurting or feeling bad because of them, it makes it very difficult to take accountability, because then you need to hold this. You can only take accountability for hurting someone if you take their pain and accept that it's your responsibility why they feel this way. That doesn't mean it's necessarily your responsibility to make them feel better, because sometimes you just can't, because you've hurt them so much. But it helps a lot, the person that you've hurt, knowing that you are there and you're taking accountability for having done the shit to them. It helps a lot in them processing and getting better. And when you hurt someone, that is your job. Your job is to then allow them to feel better again. It is not your job to undo it, because you can't. And that's what nobody's asking that from you. It's not your job to try to, make it better with platitudes or physical help or blaming them for feeling bad, because why would they? You're the one that did something. Or by trying to make the argument that somehow it was their fault, which is also something that men do a lot. We just start talking and rambling, because it's easier to have the other person feel bad about themselves for something they did than us accepting that we did something bad that someone else then feels bad because of. And this goes for many facets. This goes from bullying someone, be it online or in real life, to physically assaulting someone, where people just can't deal with the fact that they've hurt someone and that these people feel bad about them because of them. So denial is the easiest way out, because don't know how else to do it. And that's something that happens, a lot of people experience it, but there's unfortunately also a lot of men out there who are hurting other people. For one, because, they're brought up in a way where they need to assert dominance over other people, which is inevitably hurtful. But also because they are being hurt by something, and then because they don't know how to deal with the pain, be it emotionally or physical, so they just bring it forward, pay it forward. So instead of dealing with their feelings, they hurt other people so that they can feel bad too. And then they don't feel bad about themselves anymore. They might feel bad about hurting other people, but then they just, make an argument in their minds of why it was okay, or why it wasn't actually their fault. And this isn't to say that, that's necessarily inherent to men, because it isn't. But it is something that we need to take responsibility for. And the way we can do it is by learning how to be accountable for the actions that we do in a relationship. The positive ones, I find it difficult when I do something nice for my partner, that, they feel grateful. I mean, I love it, because my love language is gestures, so I love doing something nice and make my partner feel good. But I have difficulty when they want to do the same to me, because, I feel like I don't deserve it the same way. Yeah, that's my problem though, not yours. But also the negative, when we have an argument where it's our fault, that we then accept that and talk to our partner about how they're feeling, without trying to play down those feelings, because that will make it better for us. It can't have been that bad. Or I understand it's bad, but, in the grand scheme of things, it's not actually that bad. They mostly know it, If it's not something terrible, if it's, like an argument about you didn't like the food they made and you told them it was shit, even though they spent hours in the kitchen, and now they're hurt because, as much as you're entitled to have taste and not liking it, you are, shouldn't try to make them feel bad for the food they made. And they know that it's not as big, but they still feel hurt, and they want to know that the person they love, or the person that, cares for them, can understand that the way they told them that was the thing that hurt, not necessarily the message they sent. But we as men, sometimes not being taught the difference, or being taught how to deal with the fact that, oh shit, I said something stupid and that hurt them. Yes, I understand why, and I'm not trying to make them feel less bad by telling them it's their fault or whatever, but by, listening and learning and changing my future behavior because of this. Because that's, how you take accountability. You listen, you take their feelings for what they are, you give them the weight and the meaning that they deserve, and you learn from them, and you change your behavior. And you don't make them feel less, and you don't make them feel worse. And I'm not perfect. There's nobody is. We all fall back into these kind of behavior, especially when we've lived a long time doing these. But we can become better and better and better. And that's not just with our, romantic relationships, because we tend to prioritize them. But all of our relationships, be it social, be it friendship, be it hierarchical. I'm just saying that because I want politicians to fucking acknowledge when they did something stupid, but also us allowing them to be stupid and change it. Rant over. But the way we treat our friends, how we maybe hurt them by neglecting their time, or by spending time with someone else who is maybe part of the friendship group, and then someone feels left out or whatever. Instead of making them feel bad for having those feelings, it may be completely fair that you had time with the other person, or that you like the other person now more because dynamics change or whatever, but that still then is okay for that person to feel bad and you to accept that. Because you could have told them first, you could have said, which also is an uncomfortable situation and, painful, but at least they would know that you care enough for them to tell them that, rather than just play go play with someone else, sorry. And just as much as we find it difficult to to take accountability and to hold ourselves accountable for the way we treat other people, we find it difficult to be held accountable and to hold other people accountable. Because it's also easier to just at some point say, well, fuck it. And at some point that is the last resort. You can only try so much. But at some point you just have to well, okay then, that's not going to work. It's not going to happen. But we can also demand, hey, you've hurt me here, and I need this from you in order to not be hurt anymore. And we need to listen to that, and we also need to foster that as a normal thing to happen. And we can only do that all together. It's not something that we individually can change, which isn't to say that we shouldn't individually change it, because only by changing something individually will it become a change altogether. But we need to spread the word. So spread the word about this podcast and about this episode, because this is it for this week, for this time at least. So I'd love to hear from you if you have any opinions about this, anything to say, any one thing you want to add, or you think, well, this was a pointless episode, bring me something different, or you forgot to mention this, and this. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. Message me on Instagram, mentalhealth_podcast. Email me at tim@men-tell-health.com. Go on the website, men-tell-health.com. Fill in one of the what they're called, contact forms. There's one that's anonymous, and the other one that you can put your name in if you want to. And I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like this episode, or like the other ones at least, I'd love for you to give it a rating or give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe wherever you are listening or watching it on. Yeah, spread the word. Let's get this ball rolling more. And yeah, I, as always, want you to remember that I hear and I see you, and I hope you hear and or see me again next time. Goodbye.